Hey, Forrest here. Nothing like getting paid. And with ICCU's mobile app, I can deposit checks or accept Zelle payments so the money hits my account fast. I just wish there was an app for mowing the rest of these lawns.
Right now, Lithia Ford of Boise is buying used vehicles. How much you want for the SUV?
I don't know.
Well, Lithia Ford will give you more than that.
How much more?
More than you think.
I'm not thinking anything.
I'm thinking you might get even more than that. See how much more you can get at Lithia Ford of Boise.
When it comes to concrete, we've got you covered. Ropaint.com offers custom concrete coating services for your garage, business, warehouse, and more. And we do it in one day. We are your complete concrete coatings solution.
This is Bronco Nation News Live. The best interviews, the most informed opinions, the latest breaking news, all from the top Boise State insiders. Joining BJ Rains today is KTVB Sports Director Jay Tust. Check him out on Twitter at KTVB Sports Guy and make sure to check out KTVB.com. Today's broadcast is coming from the Cutwater Spirits Canned Cocktail Studios. Check out one of their more than 30 flavors of pre-mixed premium cocktails at your local gas station or grocery store. Now here's Jay Tust and BJ Rains with another edition of Bronco Nation News Live.
Hey, how we doing, Boise State fans? Happy Tuesday to you here at BroncoNationNews.com, Bronco Nation News Live. My name is BJ Rains. We got Jay Tust, Sports Director at KTVB, and we have the first official day of basketball practice today. So happy basketball season to all of you out there that celebrate. We got football to talk about. We got basketball to talk about. We got a lot going on, and we got Jay Tust for his first of two weekly appearances here at Bronco Nation News. How's it going, Jay?
I'm good. How are you doing this morning, bud?
Got my run in already. I'm feeling good. I'm not quite fully recovered, so we still have the ice water, and I might still be sweating a little bit. But we're always good when you can get the workout in before the day gets started. So happy for that, and happy to be talking Boise State sports with the man Jay Tust here for the next 30 minutes or so. I had the win over San Diego State. We're back in town, and then Jay, I was doing the yeah, I'm sure you've done this, but literally was taking the clothes and putting them in the laundry out of the suitcase, and then when they came out, I was folding them and putting them right back into the suitcase for this week's trip. Quick turnaround here, heading to Memphis.
Yeah, this is for, I think, for media especially, this is probably the quickest or the toughest turnaround of the season, because back-to-back road games is never fun. That's the one thing that I always kind of look at in the schedule is it's back-to-back road games, never ideal, especially when the second one kind of has you going almost all the way across the country. But hey, we'll make it work. We'll make it do. And I'm excited actually to get out to Tennessee and watch the Boise State football team play, because this will be, I think it's the 20th state that I will have watched the Boise State football team play a game in.
There you go. I'll have to add that up
to
see where I'm at on that. So you had me by 2 years when you got here, so your number's a little bit higher.
Yeah. Did you go to East Lansing? See,
nope, that was before I got here.
Okay,
yep.
all right. So I at least
I've only missed 3 games in my 11 years covering the team. So I've been pretty much and they were both 2 games at Hawaii. During COVID, I didn't go to Hawaii, and there was another Hawaii trip where my grandma was sick. I didn't go to that one back when I first started, like the second year here. So I've missed 2 road Hawaii games, and I missed 1 game last year in Laramie when I went to the basketball tournament. But other than that, I've been at every game in the last 11 years. So my number's up there actually. So we have to add it up and see. But I would have liked to have gone to East Lansing. I'm jealous on you on that one. Go to Toledo.
Yep.
Missed that one. It wasn't here yet for that one, but I remember watching that one. That was the same season, I think.
That was Toledo was Kellen Moore's senior year. So that was 11. Then East Lansing was in 12. So they had Kellen. They probably win in East Lansing. I think the final score of that game was 17-13. Some guy named Le'Veon Bell had a really big day. That was before I started covering Boise State, so I may or may not have remember having a wager on that game, and I just couldn't get a third down stop on Le'Veon Bell to save their soul in that game. I just happened to remember that. It was a Friday night, I think, actually, or at least it was a night game. It was a night game early in the season. But I do challenge you a little bit, saying it's all the way across the country. I mean, Boise State going on Thursday, like I go to St. Louis 3 or 4 times a year. It's not that far. It's right. I would challenge that it's more Midwest than it is East Coast for
Andy Avalos and some of these people going 2 days early here.
It is technically in the central time zone. I'll say this though, like I get like going out there a little bit earlier, the travel issues, because I mean, I when you're taking a commercial flight versus a chartered flight, there's a little bit of a difference there. I mean, I think I at least have one stop going out there. I know that, but in order to get there in time for a 10 o'clock hit, you almost lose a whole day, just traveling out
on Thursday. Of course, KTVB will be live all day Thursday. You got to get, when the team goes, Jay's got to go and get there early, and got to have your extra day to recover for the game on Saturday as well, Jay. I understand.
And just, getting content together. We try to localize it a little bit, but the team, I guess, had a difficult time getting out to San Diego this last week, right? And so they arrived like 3 hours behind schedule. Their plane was not ready for them, or a mechanical issue, and then they had to get a whole new plane to get them down there. And so they got in pretty late on. I mean, I think they were there less than 24 hours before kickoff, which is pretty late, I would say. And so if you have any type of like struggle like that going out east, then you're getting in after midnight, and then everything is just like really thrown off. And so I don't know. You're right. Like it's technically Central Time Zone, so it's not an East Coast game. But I guess if they want to get a further road trip,
it is a further road trip than you or I or Boise State is typically makes in the middle of the season. But
yeah, it is.
It is a significantly shorter trip than like going to UCF or any of those places. I get it. They're going Thursday. It makes some sense, I guess, if you got it in the budget and you can practice there. Why not? But I mean, you had UCF flying all the way to Boise on Friday and not getting into like 6 p.m., less than 24 hours for that game too.
That's actually true. That's a good point.
Some teams like to go a little bit eearlier, and if you got it, you can. I just I kind of joke a little bit that it's just like, oh my gosh, we got to deal with us cross-country travel and all this, and it's like, it's for them, it's a 3-hour charter, if that. I mean, for us, there's a stop somewhere. I think I got to change in Salt Lake. The way back is worse because I got to go the opposite direction to Atlanta to then fly from Atlanta to Boise. And I made that same Atlanta flight after the Myrtle Beach Invitational last year. I went from Myrtle Beach to Atlanta and then Atlanta to Boise. And that Atlanta to Boise flight is every bit of 4+ hours. I mean, I will give you that one. That is a long one on the way back.
You flying out at 6 a.m. on Sunday?
I am.
Well, looks like I think pretty much all the Boise media is
going to be on to Atlanta too?
Yep.
Okay. Well, you'll be in first class, so we'll be back, in the back waving at you. But.
You know what? I would love to joke around about that, but I don't even want that to be misconstrued. I will probably be middle seat, so that's not true.
Oh, the joys of media travel. Didn't you have some issues on your flights coming back from San Diego yourself?
Yeah, just some delays. It is what it is. It wasn't the end of the world. Why aren't airports comfortable these days? By the way, there's no comfortable seat. There's no. I mean, like. Oh, look, I got a place to charge and my stuff up, and like the table is like this. You can't even see your laptop on it. It's so small.
It is rough. And that San Diego airport is not exactly it's awesome and beautiful when you get there and you see the palm trees and you get there and you're there, it's awesome. But any kind of time in that airport, I've had connections there before where I've had to literally go outside security and back in a different area for the other set of Southwest gates. When you get there, you try to get there as close to takeoff as possible because it was packed and it was just there's not a lot of food and drink options. Nope. I mean, it was not great.
As long as we're telling stories, okay, whatever. Sorry, we're just gonna go off the rails here for a second. So it took me an hour.
30 minutes doesn't start till we get to the Boise State talk. So keep going.
It took me an hour and 40 minutes from the time I got off the plane until the time I actually got my rental car in San Diego. Coming back in to leave, it wasn't any better. And then as I'm going through security to get in, there's an alarm that starts going off throughout the entire airport that says a major. I can't remember the exact words of it, but they were letting everybody know that something was going on in the airport and it was an emergency. And they just kept saying, "We will have more information soon." And it was like a fire alarm going off. Well, that audio track was playing under it. And I mean, we all know the world we live in these days. I'm like, this is kind of alarming.
Yeah.
And I look at one of the younger security guards and I was like, has this ever happened before? Or I was like, was this common? And he goes, no, I've never had this happen before. And so I'm like, oh, it gives me great comfort. Okay, cool. And Yeah. So that was.
I've heard maybe the other terminal, the non-Southwest terminal, is a little easier to deal with, but the Southwest terminal, literally, there's 5 gates in this security area, 5 gates in this security area. And like I said, one time I even had to change planes, right, to go outside security and then go back through to get to my gate on the other side. But I think you can put up with all that because San Diego is such an awesome town. I guess you're not worried about that.
That's the only reason. But that is one of the, when I always look at the things that, get there 2 hours early. I'm like, I'm good with an hour 15. No, at San Diego, you better be there 2 hours early. You're probably going to miss your flight.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, the joys of media travel. The team is chartered. Huh?
Is Memphis any better?
I don't know if I've ever been to the Memphis airport, but I'm told it's not great. Because I was actually looking at some options potentially on Sunday. They play Saturday, and then Sunday is the final baseball game of the season. So the Adam Wainwright retirement day. I was actually going to see if I could sneak back and then fly Sunday night out of there, but there was literally not a single flight from Memphis to St. Louis, and I'm not going to Chicago or Nashville or somewhere else to go 4-hour drive. But that 3 p.m. start, if it was like a noon start, maybe could have tried to go Saturday night, but no, yeah, the team flies right back. Typically, they don't have problems. We're in the 6 a.m. flights the next day with a connection and hoping to get home on a Sunday to see our family as soon as possible. But the joys of sports media. But I'm looking forward. I was at the Liberty Bowl, Jay, for the Kansas-Arkansas triple overtime bowl game at the end of last season. So I was just at the Liberty Bowl about 8 months ago. A very unique, interesting stadium. It's pretty old. A lot of not great on the restroom situation, the concession stands. Frankly, the bowels of the stadium look a lot like Boise State Stadium, to be honest, just in terms of a lot of outdated, kind of older things. And then the seating capacity is huge. It's a big capacity, but it's a lot of just cement and bleachers and older stadium. But I know they're trying to do some renovations and things to push themselves forward towards Power 5 or whatever else is out there. It's kind of out there a little ways away from everything as well. The parking situation is not great, but should be a unique, interesting game. And Andy Avalos returns to the site of his 92-yard interception return for a touchdown. And Bush Hamden was a freshman on that team. But Boise State itself has never played Memphis. And so kind of a, we remember that year when Brian Harsin went off ripping the Mountain West for them not doing enough on the promotion when Memphis was 14-0, and a lot of people thought Boise State, I think, had one loss, still should have been considered over them. So I mean, they have battled directly for that Group of 5 New Year's 6 spot in recent years, and now I think with the way it's kind of shaking out, they're going to be 2 probably of the premier Group of 5 programs moving forward here, and should be a unique matchup on Saturday.
Yeah, this is one of those. It's weird because you're right. Despite the fact that Boise State and Memphis have never played each other, you still feel like it. I don't want to go as far as saying it's a rivalry, but you definitely feel like something's on the line. And it's the AAC versus the Mountain West. Boise State, a premier Group of 5 program, against Memphis, who has been kind of a premier Group of 5 program recently. And so, yeah, you definitely feel like something's on the line here. And more than anything, it's also a chance for Boise State to climb the 500 and get through the month of September 3-2 potentially, which I think if you go back and you look at the schedule, just about anybody would have taken that emerging from, the month of September. The best case scenario seemed like it was 4-1. I think anybody would take 3-2 with the rest of the games being Mountain West Conference play. And with the exception of, that game at Fresno, which, ESPN's Football Power Index now suggests Boise State is an underdog for that game. With the exception of that contest, Boise State will be favored in every game the rest of the way after this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, the Air Force game is certainly going to be tough.
By the way, they're favored this weekend, which I mean, that's the second week in a row. Boise State's a field goal favorite that, surprised me a little bit.
I thought Memphis was favored.
I think I saw was it Circa tweeted out that Boise State was -3?
Did I have it backwards? I thought it was Memphis -3. You're probably right. I think you are right, actually. Let's see here. If someone's going to tell us in the chat how wrong we are, I think you probably are right. But for some reason, I thought Memphis was a slight favorite. But yeah, Boise State. That's a little bit of respect on the road to be a favorite again.
I will say, if you look at ESPN's Football Power Index, once again, they are that metric favors Memphis in this matchup. But I'm pretty sure I saw the graphic that your boys down at Circa tweet out every week. I think
first person says you're right, Jay. Second person says no. Memphis is -3.5. So even the people on our chat here don't know the exact.
I'm pulling it up right now. I got the tweet. Boise State -3 against Memphis, over under 58.5. That's from your boys at Circa.
How about that? Wow. There you go. That's a little surprising to me. I'm not going to lie. But, I mean, let's be honest. Memphis is 4-0. Everyone's saying it's Memphis -3. Did it change, or did they type it in wrong?
Maybe they typed it in wrong then. I don't know. But it definitely says Memphis -3, or excuse me, Boise State -3 on here.
They must have typed it in wrong. I'm going to check the live Circa odds while we're here talking about this. While I'm looking up I'm going to look up the odds real quick. Let's thank a couple of our sponsors real quick. All Bronco Nation news broadcasts come from the Cutwater Spirits Canned Cocktail Studios. Check out one of their more than 30 flavors of premix premium cocktails at your local gas station or grocery store. Cutwater Spirits, perfect for your next game day tailgate party. Our title sponsor is rowpaint.com. For all your commercial, industrial, residential painting needs, check out rowpaint.com. Don't forget about their concrete coatings. Transform that ugly concrete slab on your back patio in your garage in just one day. Contact rowpaint.com for a free estimate today. The official paint and coatings company of Boise State Athletics, and our title sponsor at Bronco Nation News is rowpaint.com. Idaho Central Credit Union's been helping members achieve financial success for more than 80 years. There's an ICCU branch on almost every corner, but the closest is in your pocket with free eBranch mobile and online banking. See why more than 500,000 members love ICCU, and join 1 in 4 Idahoans by making the switch today at ICCU.com. Since 1984, Ridley's Family Markets has prided itself on being a hometown food and drug store that employed value members of the local community. Ridley's Family Markets has 13 locations in the state of Idaho and many more in the surrounding states. Download the new Ridley's app to your smartphone, get savings up to 40% off at the checkout line, and find a location near you at shopridleys.com. Former Bronco Matt Bauscher is once again the #1 ranked realtor in the Treasure Valley. No home is too big or too small for Matt and his team. Let them fulfill all your real estate needs at BauscherRealEstate.com. All right, there we go, Jay. It is, if I can get my phone over there, Boise State is underdog, according to Circa Sports Group. So it either switched or they had a typo. Memphis is -3.5.
All right, well, there you go. Then that makes a lot more sense to me.
So we were both right at some point, I think, there.
As long as we're going to hold our phones up to the screen. You can see right there, Boise State -3 on.
I wonder if they typed it in wrong or if it switched, if the line moves 6 points like
They
that.
had to have typed it in wrong, because that's a massive. 6.5 points would be a massive swing. There's got to be somebody betting trillions of dollars on it in order for it to swing that bad.
Yeah. Wow. Well, Memphis -3.5 does seem more probably about right. On the road, field goal underdog. That's about right, I would think.
That's about right. Yeah.
But as I said, they've never played Memphis, and it's a unique matchup, and they've had to move the series around, I believe, at some point because of all this scheduling and stuff. But it is a game that is a nice litmus test. It's a game, I guess, Jay. I mean, does Boise State, if they run the table, they still be in the mix for the group of 5? I mean, I guess the game means something from that standpoint. It's hard to right now think about that, but if they were to run the table, there's no clear-cut team outside of the Mountain West, and so they would have wins over Fresno and Air Force. But for the most part, it's just kind of weird. They do this. They've done this some, come into conference play, go back out of conference play, but it's a little unique to get geared up for a San Diego State game and then go right back out of conference this week.
Yeah, well, they do that. Didn't they do that in 2014 where they played Colorado State like their second week of the year, and then they went back out on the road like UConn or something like that? Kind of that. Getting a long ways away from Boise type of game in the non-con. So, yeah, probably not like super ideal, but it is what it is. And, again, we probably are making too big of a deal of it because these guys do get to take a chartered flight. I mean, they get on a runway in Boise. They're going to get off a runway 3 hours later in Memphis, and then they'll have a whole night to rest up and play a football game. It's a little different than our travel schedules. But I'm completely intrigued by this matchup, you know. Memphis has a pretty good quarterback that's done some good things this year. They, too, have a very versatile running back that darn near leads the team in receiving. Heck, he might lead the team in receiving. I can't remember exactly. But he's also, you know, got 342 rushing yards through 4 games, which isn't too far off of what Ashton Jeanty's done through 4 games. So it's an intriguing matchup. And, you know, I have to buy into it each and every week because I am not a college football coach or talent evaluator, but apparently they have one of the best fronts that Boise State will see all season. But we were also kind of told the same about North Dakota, so I'm going to go ahead and think that one's probably being overplayed or overblown just at least a little bit. Despite they might be good, but probably getting overblown just a little bit.
And don't forget, Jay, I mean, not to say this is the next, the new BYU or whatever, but Boise State and Memphis play 4 times in the next nine seasons. They play 4 times. So they play this year, obviously, they play in 2026. Memphis is scheduled to come to Boise in 2026. And then they play in 2030 and 2031. 2030, they open the season at Memphis. 2031, week 2, is back in Boise. So counting this year, 4 of the next 9 seasons, essentially every other year, for the next decade, they're going to be playing Memphis.
Yeah, this is going to be a little playoff game in the middle of a season, basically. If these two teams continue to achieve their potential and chase college football playoff bids, which is kind of, I mean, it's silly to say that that's at stake, but it is to some degree potentially way on down the road. If you're Memphis right now, I mean, they're dreaming of that with their 3-1 mark, I guess. If they run the table now in an American Athletic Conference that doesn't include UCF or Houston or Cincinnati, then they're going to be in the discussion. So this is a big game for the University of Memphis. And, we need to gauge expectations and as we move forward here. But if you are Boise State, your chances of playing in a game like that, they still exist if you're 3-2 after the month of September. If you're 2-3, those kind of go away, and now it's all on winning the Mountain West Conference Championship and trying to get to the LA Bowl.
Are you a big fan of the United Nations, Jay?
Yeah.
I saw that in the game notes, and I hadn't heard them referred to that before, and I wasn't sure if that was something that our friend Patrick Walsh just kind of came up with, or was that like a real thing? So before the press conference, I asked him, do they like call themselves the United Nations? He's like, yeah, oh yeah. I'm like, okay, just making sure. And then tried to get Spencer Danielson with it. He knew where I was going with it, but I thought it was just kind of a unique side story. The defensive line can speak 8 different languages. We knew, obviously Max Stiege come from Germany. We knew about Ahmad Hassanin, but there's 8 languages amongst the D-line and Eric Chenander and Jabril Frazier. And they call themselves the United Nations. And they had the 6 sacks against North Dakota. Didn't think they played tremendous. Didn't get a ton of pressure. Thought they played okay against San Diego State. But, this will be another game where the D-line, I think, is going to help really get some all the problems, the third down problems, the pass defense problems. If the D-line's getting more pressure on the quarterback, I think it starts there, and that helps some of those other problems.
Yeah, I mean, you can pressure the quarterback, you're going to solve a lot of issues on your defense in a hurry. And I think that the D-line played okay. I mean, they played okay. They played a lot of young guys, and I think you're starting to see some of them come along a little bit. Jaden Virgin probably played the most he's ever played on defense in that game against San Diego, and he did so in front of a bunch of family members. And he made a play, came up with a fumble recovery. I do think that Dimitri Washington is playing very solid football right now. Is he changing the game? I don't know about that, but like he's playing very, very solid football right now, which I think you can be happy with. Sheldon Newton played a lot in the San Diego State game and had a good game. And
yeah,
if that group can come along and continue to produce and just get better, this defense has a chance. And they need to continue making steps, though, because there still are, too many big plays. The tackling thing, BJ, for me I'm not actually really panicking on that one, because I do think for the most part prior to that game that Boise State had tackled, decently well if you compare them to anybody else in America. I thought they tackled okay their first 3 games of the season. Last week was a little bit of an issue, and you heard Andy Avalos say that they were certainly going to go out and address that. So hopefully they do that before they figure that out before this Saturday when they take on Memphis.
I didn't hear him much after the game. We heard the trucks and the beeping and everything else in the background there in San Diego, but that was not the ideal post-game setup.
No, it wasn't. Yeah, it
was worse for Ashton Jeanty, man. It was just almost impossible to hear him. And then you turn around and look at people, and they're acting like we're the ones that are in their way. It's like, come on.
The stadium crew is getting ready for Coldplay to come in, and
we're all doing a job. I get it. They're just,
Yeah, they are, but it was wild to me that it's like game over. Okay, get out. We're getting Coldplay in here. It's not like you can have the field for 30 minutes while you wrap stuff up from this game that you just covered for the last 3.5 hours. It was like, no. I was like, what happens if the game went to overtime?
Yeah,
here anyways.
by the time I left, they already had about up to the 30-yard line covered with like these panels, put the stage and everything on top of, I guess, to not ruin the grass or whatever. But yeah, that was pretty quick. I did want to talk a few minutes on basketball, Jay, with the first practice today, but I did want to give you one chance to talk about the greatness first of Ashton Jeanty.
I don't even know what to say anymore, to be honest with you, because
or we save all 30 minutes on Friday to talk about Ashton.
we probably could. He is entering a different stratosphere, BJ. He is a very, very good running back. And I mean, now all of a sudden he's in the discussion of the Jay Ajayi's of the world of how talented he is. And man, I talk highly of Jay because that season he had in 2014, we use unbelievable too much. That was unbelievable. 2,358 yards. Every time they needed him to step up, he stepped up. He commits to the NFL draft, and the very first time he touches the rock after that, he houses one in the Fiesta Bowl from midfield. I mean he lived up to the hype and way more that season. The freezing game at 8 degrees against San Diego State here in Boise, him and Grant Hedrick, and a lot of it was Jay, figured out a way to win that game despite the fact they fell behind really big early. I think it was 20-0 at one point, 20-10 at halftime. So his season was unreal that year. So I don't say this lightly. Ashton Jeanty is entering that conversation now, and I don't see him slowing down either. He has been unreal, way beyond what anybody could expect through the first 4 games of the season. And let's not forget, BJ, I think we can rope in the final game from last season too, when he had 188 all-purpose yards. So if you're looking at the last 5 games where he has been the premier back or in Boise State's offense, he's upwards of 176 yards from scrimmage per game. He's at 173 this year, which leads the entire country by a very healthy clip. Tied for number 1 in total touchdowns. I mean, yeah, he is the absolute real deal.
And part of me says, you got to have a passing game. I don't know if this is sustainable. You can't have this many touches and get pretty much nothing out of your passing game and keep winning games. And part of me says, until you don't, keep doing it. So I see both sides of it. I do think they need to get Taylon Green going. I mentioned during the game on Twitter, and I said it yesterday with Johnny, I called it I said, I didn't know how to really describe it. Something just seemed off. I said maybe he had the yips, like just the throws aren't quite perfect. The decisions aren't quite perfect. It's just something's just slightly off. But he did have the rushing touchdown. There were some signs there from Taylon. Yeah. He finished better than he started, but I do think that just for whatever reason, he has not played at the level that we all thought he would play coming into the season. I think that's fair to admit that he has been a little below average, below, and maybe the expectations were too high. Maybe that's our fault, but I mean, we were kind of talking Mountain West Offensive Player of the Year type player, and he has not played at that level, in my opinion. So, if you want to defend Taylon, go ahead.
No, this is part of the growing process, and it sucks to be critical at times, but it is what it is. And they say they have to get Taylon going. Taylon's got to get Taylon going. I mean, if we're being honest, he also has a play in this. And
I still think he's going to have a great rest of the season, a great career. I'm not bashing on him. I think he would admit it. The coaches would admit it based on what we thought he would do coming in. I don't think his 4 games have lived up to the hype yet.
There was a series there late in the first half, BJ, that I very cautiously approach some of these things with how plays are exact plays are executed and things like that. Because I played high school football. I've watched it at a very high level for a very long time. I feel like I do have a grasp of what's going on, but sometimes I will, I do pause before I really say this is what happened or what went wrong, because I will consult somebody that actually, either has a seat at the table or had a seat at the table about this stuff. And you can look at, there was a series there at the end of the first half. They're in the low red zone. Taylon misses a very easy, when I say misses, doesn't even throw a very easy touchdown throw to Eric McAllister. And then, later on, this is why, I talked on the game on Saturday, and I was like, I think that Breezy went the wrong way on a play down in the low red zone. It wasn't Breezy. the QB turned the wrong way. And so there are little things like that where Taylon's still learning and he's still growing. I feel like every time Taylon gets that first, I could be completely wrong here, but every time Taylon kind of gets that first run, like not pass, but run, I feel like he kind of like gets a little bit of confidence, feels the game. And then you can see the final 3 quarters, he plays pretty loose. And how do you get that out of the gate? Like, how do you get that from the first second snap of the game? We talked about that opening series script, and Andy Avalos hasn't really, loved it in terms of whether it be play calling or execution. They have to do a better job. These slow starts can't happen. If you want a chance to go on the road and upset Memphis, you can't just be good for 3 quarters. You have to be good for 4 quarters. And so how can they script something and execute something right out of the gate where they can go down and get points on the opening drive of the game? They did it at the University of Washington, so they've proven they can do it. But how can they do it again consistently? These last 2 games, they just haven't really had that quick opening game type of mojo that you need in order to go pull an upset.
We will really break this down on Friday when you're already in Memphis. I'll be getting ready to head to the airport, but we should be able, if it works for you, Jay, to keep it at our regularly scheduled time, or maybe a bit earlier. On Friday morning, since you'll be on Central Time and I'll be getting ready to head to the airport. I do want to get one quick basketball thought from you if you have a second, but I do need to thank 3 more of our sponsors real quick. BVA, Ball Ventures, Allquist. We're going to be doing a live broadcast next Thursday from Topgolf. More details to come. We appreciate Tommy Allquist and company. Idaho's developer is Ball Ventures Allquist. Lithia Ford of Boise. Check out their fall kickoff sale, lithiafordboise.com. You can check them out. View their inventory of vehicles, a new F-150, all-electric Lightning. Check it out at lithiafordboise.com. You need a job? Check out Transportation Compliance Service, transcomservice.com. Check them out. If you need a job, big rig on your screen, Amazon truck in your neighborhood. They can help you get into the trucking industry at Transportation Compliance Service. Taco Bell, we'll be there for the San Jose State game for the pregame show. Looking forward to that. TacoBellWorks.com. Get more information on all the charitable efforts and things they're doing around the community. And again, we're going to be passing out free tacos, having fun at Taco Bell on October 7th. Check us out before the San Jose State game. And the Blue and Orange store, Travis Hawks and company, they will be traveling with the team to Memphis. I know Travis is pumped about that, gets to hang out on the team plane and be on the sidelines for the game. So jealous of Travis, but the blueandorange.store.com, you get free shipping any order over $40, or you can get your gear right there at the Boise Town Square Mall on the 2nd floor next to Pro Image. So we appreciate the Blue and Orange store. All right, Jay, we got football interviews coming up, and then we have basketball interviews. That's right. Today, the first official basketball practice. Now, it's kind of a ceremonial thing nowadays. They changed the rules 4 or 5 years ago. You get up to 8 hours in the summer a week, and you get 8 hours in the off season as well. So they've been practicing 2 or 3 days a week. They've been doing workouts. In the olden days, this would have been their first, official workout with coaches in 6 months or whatever. That's not the case. This is, essentially their 30th practice or whatever of the year already. But now the calendar switches. They can go up to 20 hours a week. They're going to practice on a more regular basis. There's more film study involved, more, all other things. As I said, they can go up to the 20 hours. So they are now officially in season with the rules and things like that. So a lot changes, a lot opens up. Today, practice 1 officially for the Boise State men's basketball team. We had the Canadian trip. They came back, by the way, that San Jose State game on the 7th. Be on the lookout for David Moats, kind of teased it in the Tyson Degenhardt show, a open scrimmage for fans before the San Jose State game in Bronco Gym. So keep an eye out for that. But basketball season, man, what's got you intrigued about this team?
Everything. I can't wait to see this team in action. And I think that, in an era where the transfer portal has allowed teams to add talent to their roster in a hurry, Leon Rice has done a pretty good job of adding talent that's impactful out of the transfer portal. I mean, he has done a very good job of it. And how these new pieces fit, I can't wait to see the athleticism of Roddy Anderson. We already got a little bit of a glimpse of it. If you follow along on social media, we were at the softball game. He's hitting home runs from both sides of the plate. A few weeks prior to that, he's kicking 50-yard field goals on the blue. And
he had 2 monster dunks in Canada, too. He had 2 monster dunks in Canada. I mean, that guy's got some hops.
Yeah, and so I can't wait to see how he kind of fits into this equation. Omar, I mean, he apparently is going to kind of be the heartbeat, I guess. Like, the things that made people like Najee Smith so good were not just his production, but it was his personality. And so that's what I want to know. Who is that personality this year that keeps things fun, loose, shows that leadership? Abu Kijab was that at one point in time. Both those guys were transfers, one out of the portal, the other one from a junior college. And now Omar's coming out of the portal. So Leon does a good job of not just finding talent, but finding character that fits with his team, his program. And they have, once again, big time dreams of making a third straight NCAA tournament. And it's so funny. I said that I called them dreams, BJ, but these are realistic expectations now. These aren't just like maybe if the stars align and everything's perfect, they'll get to the NCAA tournament. I feel like these are now the expectations of this program. They got a daunting preseason schedule, especially because a lot of these games are out on the road against tough competition. And even the one in Idaho is kind of a road game. I mean, sure, it's in the state of Idaho, but it's at a place where few, if any, Boise State basketball player has actually played before. Yeah. So the schedule's not going to be easy, but I think it's also very calculated. Mike Burns does a masterful job of organizing this when it comes to the quadrants and everything like that. So they should be in position again come March to punch their ticket.
This is a topic for another day, but Tequila Gus says, can Leon teach Andy how to use the portal? Robbie Robinson also pointing out Boise State, the only school in the Mountain West that did not lose a starter to the transfer portal on the basketball side last year. Mm-hmm. So we talked, Cam Martin, I'm excited to see what he can do against Mountain West competition. And then, oh, by the way, you got Tyson Degenhart, Max Rice, Chibuzo Abel coming back, and maybe the best returning tandem in the Mountain West of those three. Mm-hmm. You had some impact guys like that, and don't sleep on some guys like R.J. Keene and Jace Whiting. And we haven't even talked about Andrew Meadow, the freshman that really was impressive, 31 points in his first game in Canada. So a lot of excitement, a lot of intrigue around the basketball team. We'll continue to follow them as we move forward here as well. Obviously, we're in middle of football season. We'll still dabble with the basketball talk. We'll have some highlights from that scrimmage coming up on the 7th. And then, obviously, they got a closed private scrimmage against Cal on October 14th. And then they'll get ready for the preseason and the regular season. And we'll be down at Media Days here in 2 weeks, I guess it is. WCC Mountain West doing joint Media Days for basketball. So we'll be down there. We'll have Brian Dutcher, Nico Medved, Jeff Linder. We'll get all those, Steve Alford. We'll get all those guys one-on-one on BNN. Looking forward to that. It's going to be a fun day down there at Media Days. We'll get Gordy Presnell, the women's side, on. They should be pretty good as well. They're bringing back pretty much their whole team. They lost one player to the transfer portal, but bring back, I believe, all 5 starters for a good chunk of the women's team. So a lot of excitement around both the men's and women's team. And I know KTVB will have it covered. We'll have it covered at BNN. And but first, we got football interviews. I haven't seen the list yet, Jay. I don't know if you have, but we'll be getting some players at some point, hopefully, here after practice. But we'll do that, get those posted to the YouTube channel, and then we'll have basketball after that as well. Jay, safe travels down to Memphis, and we will hopefully catch up and get the lowdown on Memphis Friday morning from Memphis as we get set for this game on Saturday. So appreciate you, sir.
Sounds good, bud.
There he is, Jay Tust, best in the business. Make sure you follow him and Brady and everything they got going on at KTVB. Check them out, ktvb.com, and watch all their various newscasts throughout the day. Nobody in the Treasure Valley on the TV side covers Boise State, frankly, on any side like KTVB does. So make sure you check them out, KTVB, ktvb.com. And that'll do it. Bronco Nation News Live for a Tuesday edition. Plenty content coming online. Mike Prater just emailed me his column on the offensive line. It's actually a positive Mike Prater column for once. I had to double take when I read the first paragraph. So we will get that posted here shortly to BroncoNationNews.com. So have a great day. We'll talk to you soon. Bronco Nation News Live, BroncoNationNews.com.